ANARKALi, as I put out in my post this morning, a date with ANARKALi and Sumant Batra in Kolkata. For me, it doesn't get better. I'm Shantanu Choudhuri. I'm editor-in-chief at Home Books International, and I'm very, very happy to have published this book. I get to hear a lot in the course of my duties as an editor that fiction doesn't sell. Please get me business books, please get me self-help books. And thanks to Sumant, thanks to ANARKALi, I now have an answer for all of them. Privilege for me. It's really, I can't thank him enough for having trusted me, the team, and having done what he's done for the book. I just say that it's something like ANARKALi that has sort of opened the cinema, and he's part of one of the big books that's coming up from home. You know her, Sophia does. And for a job in editorial, in publishing, at a time when I was wanting to move from finance into publishing, and the first job interview that I gave was in Kolkata. I came down traveling 3-tier in Purva Express and met Anjum Katyal. Never got through. And maybe that's why I'm standing here today. Thank you so much for doing this, Anjum. I'd like to call upon Saira to come, and we can Anjum, Ashok. Gentlemen, Sumant Batra with ANARKALi. And now, before I hand over the mic to Sarah, just one request. That's a request that I make at all events, at all functions we have for books. We'll close the door and nobody goes out.
Very good.
Sumant is an old friend, and I'm delighted to be part of this book launch. So when he was writing this book, I was watching and observing how passionate he is about the subject. Because unless until I think you don't have that frenzied madness about the subject, it's very difficult to write on any topic. So I'm really excited to ask him, because I really haven't talked to him since then. He's been constantly traveling. Sometimes I see the book is in Hanoi, it's in the US, and it's been like traveling globally. And we would all love to know about where his journey started. So let's begin. So thank you so much, Shantanu, for editing this book and bringing this book to life, and also being such an important and integral part of this wonderful project. Thank you so much, Anjum for being a part of this book launch. It's a privilege to have you here. And Ashok Viswanathan, he doesn't need any introduction. Thank you, both of you, for being a part of this and so warmly accepting to be a part of the book launch. So should we begin with a small introduction, though they don't need an introduction, but we'll start from left to right. Ashok Viswanathan, as you know, he's a stalwart in the film industry. He's a national award-winning film director, a theatre personality, a writer, and of course, a public intellectual. Thank you so much, Ashok, for being here. Anjum Katyal, as you know, she's a film critic, she's a writer, she's a translator, she dons many hats overall. She's a cerebral personality of Kolkata who's written various historical books, and everyone takes her opinion and reads the books and takes it very seriously. Sumant Batra is an insolvency lawyer of eminence, and he's written books in the past. He's a theatre enthusiast. He He is a literature festival director. He's the director of the Kumaon Literature Festival, and it's a pleasure to have him here in Kolkata. Thank you so much. Thanks. So coming to Anarkali, we all have heard, we've seen memes roaming around, about Urjao, Anarkali, and things like that. So it has intrigued us for many years. Who's the woman? Who's this persona, Anarkali? Is she a figment of someone's imagination, or was she a historical figure, or is she part of mythology? It has intrigued many of us for many, many years. So we would like to know from Sumantji, why did he think of writing on Anarkali, a figure that's been seeped into introspection and also mystery and intrigue. So we want to understand how his journey of writing this book started. So over to you, Sumantji.
Thank you so much, Saya. A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for coming this afternoon for this event. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Saya, for taking time out. I know that since the 3 days your candidature was announced, you have obviously become more busy than you were earlier, and yet you were constantly in touch with me last 3 days. On this event, I really appreciate that, and I'm truly grateful to you for that. And of course, Ashok and Anjum for taking out the time. I know that you have very busy schedules, and also Anjum read the book. Also, I had a conversation with her on the book, and for her to make up the time to read the book. It means a lot. And for me to be sharing the dais with both of you in itself is a great privilege, I have to say. Why Anarkali? There are 2 reasons, if I may say. The seed for this was sown about 7-8 years ago, but rather 10 years ago, if I may say. My family, I and my wife, we run a small boutique hotel in the mountains in the Himalayas, which we created out of our summer house. And when we were doing the summer house, we had the old heritage building, and then there was a new contemporary structure that we were creating. So it actually came out as a pair, and we were just trying to think of a marketing strategy as to how do we sell a pair, which is one is contemporary and one is a bit of a heritage. And we did a lot of research on pairs, whether it's the couples or people generally pair together who, even for example, Laura Hardy or Vedar Rahman and Guru Dutt, how do people come together even though they may be very different, but they make as a pair what they are known for, or how they create history, or are recognized together, even individually, but more as together. It was at that moment we were also thinking maybe we should do a pair story around lovers, because ours is a very romantic hotel. So we did a lot of research on that. We came across, of course, Halim and Anarkali, and which is nothing else at all written about her. And even Imtiaz Ali Taj's play, written in the early 1920s, which is believed to be the genesis or the basis of the creation of Anarkali, only talks about the love story. She appears to dance in the palace. So that sort of did intrigue me a lot and left a thought in my mind that at some point of time one should take up research. But being in the legal profession, it's not really always that you have to find time to do something which may not ultimately become a priority. And ultimately from there escape to Lahore. And that's where I'll go this. So I obviously challenged and questioned, so how's that possible, 250 or kilometers long tunnel, unbelievable. And so he actually was very offended. And he questioned me, and he said this in Urdu, Hindi. He said, जनाब ये हमारा सच है, अगर आपका कोई सच है तो वो बताएं, नहीं तो हमारे सच को आप उसको इंसल्ट न करें. They said that we believe this now for centuries, for over 400 years. This is our truth. If you do not have a truth of your own, then please don't insult our truth. That's what he said. Now, which I thought was a very fair point, because I was just questioning, while he and a generation before him, and all the people, they do really believe that she existed. And It's not questionable. So for me, that conversation with him actually set me on the path to find my truth about ANARKALi. And that's when I decided to undertake research to find out not just about that episode, but about who she was and what she was. So these were the two reasons, if I may say, one from 10 years and one from 4 years ago, which resulted in my walking the path to what you are to define as a book on ANARKALi.
That this can somehow generate an interest in history to people who've forgotten about medieval history or who would like to relook at medieval history. Since you've been an erudite author yourself, do you think it will give a new spin to historical narratives?
Thank you for that question, Saira. I'm very happy to be here. I immediately said yes when Saira contacted me to ask if I would be part of this discussion, because I felt that a book on this subject, and this is partly answer to your question as well, a figure like ANARKALi, which is a combination of romantic legend, mythology, but solidly set in a historical period. I thought that it would be fascinating to see what a contemporary writer had to say that would be new or interesting or bring in a fresh dimension or nuance. Now, I feel that when you take a subject that has a lot of popular appeal, that is very deeply, sort of integrated with people's ideas of a romance. We have so many of these romantic couples stories in India, whether it's, what are some of the others? Like the famous Romeo and Juliet abroad, Laila Majnu, of course, that is so widely. So when you take something like that and you go into the history of it, I think that it draws people in because it's not to begin with something very inaccessible. It's something everybody has kind of heard of the word, name. Oh, ANARKALi, yes, of course. Who was this ANARKALi? Where did she come from? So what I found very interesting was the sort of the nitty-gritty kind of detail of historical research that came through, and this is something I even talked to Sumant about, that how much of that is actually research and how much of it is just you imagining, because in fiction one has the liberty to imagine anything one wants, right? These individuals, not just facts of statistics of history, not just sweeping general statements that the Mughals did this and the invaders did that, but gives it a complexity, makes them much closer to you in terms of human connection, and also a lot of very interesting detail about relationships across religions, which is a very important part of the book, just human being to human being, people who are friends, who are not necessarily divided by different customs and different beliefs, right?
These historical or mythical characters on celluloid, whether they are a part of plays or movies, do you think it generates the public's interest in looking up history and perhaps getting a new, fresh perspective? Do you think films help in?
That's a very interesting question. But I would say even before going into the world of film or theatre, the very fact that a book called ANARKALi has been written would be enough provocation to look it up, And I think the book is extremely well written, firstly. Let me congratulate Sumantji for that. What do I mean by that now? This is a very general statement, like the word interesting. And whenever you ask someone how was the book, they say interesting. It's one of the most insipid words in the English language. But this book is really well written, first of all, because of the detail which Anjum already mentioned. The harem, for example, is stratified. Women of different stature are given different rooms, if I'm not wrong. It reminds me of a completely different text from a different culture, that is the Kama Sutra. If you read the Kama Sutra, there too, there is a distinct classification of the different talents that you need to have, you see. This is the first thing, the detailing. The second is, again, in line with the question that Sarah asked, is very, very important. That is, that this is on the lines of great historical fiction, you know, and I'm sticking my neck out and saying that it could be compared with a book like The Enchantress of Florence. I think so, definitely. And Salman Rushdie, undoubtedly one of the greatest writers of all time in this world, can be an inspiration. I just saw a film the other day called The Three Musketeers, a reworking of it. There again, it's Alexandre Dumas who uses history to fuel his fiction. So the greatness about this novel is, first, its detailing, its dovetailing of history and fiction, and thirdly, leaving that little space for the reader to conjecture. As Cyrus said so rightly, is it history? Is it true? Or is it mythology? Is it myth? It is, in a sense. Some of the things that happened may have become the stuff that legends are made of. Again, Shakespeare, you know that famous line from the Maltese Falcon, when Humphrey Bogart holds it up and says, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. So this writing has the dreamlike quality of it. At the same time, it's very palpable. It's very real, and that is what is drawing people to it. People are reading it just as they read Mata Hari, the book by Paulo Coelho, his version of Mata Hari. Very, very well written book again. This is being drawn, people are being drawn to this because they could identify with the characters. Because they can feel the characters, see those characters. Definitely very good material for a film, which would be far different from K. Asif's Mughal-e-Azam because of the prelude, because of the framing device that is used, because of the significant role that Jahannama plays in this particular text. The following of the journey, moving from one person to the other, holding hands as it were. Gradually you move from Jahannama to Shahinshah Akbar and then to Salim and Jahangir. And with mention of Mehrun Nisa also is a part of another legend involving the ill-fated Sher Khan, which was the subject of the famous play made by Ajitesh Bandyopadhyay based on Henry IV. So in all, I think, extremely well-written book, comparable to even a Stoppard who wrote travesties. Travesties with people like James Joyce and Tristan Zara and Vladimir Lenin all together, which is all fact. But he spins a tale around them, and that's what Sumant Batra has done, and congratulations to you, sir.
I would like to believe that it is important, though as an absolutely independent person who does not know Sumant, I know I have seen Sumant's junoon about this subject. So I knew that whatever he has in the book is there, but and he has had it read with a totally fresh and independent eye. I don't need to tell Sumant that keep him happy to say that okay, this is absolutely perfect. The editor has the right to tell him that no, this doesn't work, as we have done.